Officials are ringing the bell. They're saying that this flu season could be very bad. That's why SSM Health is offering free flu vaccines this weekend. They're offering free flu vaccines. That's not easy. In the St. Louis region, Saturday from 8 until noon, in an effort to reduce the risk of flu from children, adults, and their families. To talk about it is Dr. Alexander Garza, Chief Medical Officer for SSM Health St. Louis. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning.
First of all, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
And he was here early.
He was here early, ready to go. How bad is this flu season going to be? What are they saying?
Well, we're making a few assumptions from where it's occurring right now in the southern hemisphere. So, the winters and summers flip depending on which part of the world you're in. So there was a particularly bad flu season in Australia of this year. And so that's what a lot of people are worried about, that would translate then to a bad flu season for the northern hemisphere this winter.
Is it a different flu strand, or is it just a regular bad flu strand?
More than likely regular bad flu. So the regular
There's
flu
nothing
strain.
special about
Correct.
this terrible
yeah,
strain.
So there's 3 different strains that we vaccinate for: the H1N1, H3N2, and then a B type. So none of those are unfamiliar to us. It's not like 2009 when we had a completely new strain.
Right, okay. The flu vaccine here at KTRS is extra special because John Beaver was one of our coworkers who got the flu. Got the flu shot with us, just like we do every year, just like we do here. And then later on in the winter, got the flu, then got pneumonia, got double pneumonia, had lung transplant, double lung transplant, and then ultimately died. Wow. So it's really very important to us here that we spread the correct information about flu and flu shots.
Right.
First of all, one of the misnomers is that when you get a flu shot, I don't want to get a flu shot, I get the flu when I get a flu shot. True or false?
That's false.
False.
Correct.
Why? Explain it to people.
Well, it's false because the flu vaccine doesn't contain any live influenza virus in it. It's a killed virus, and so it doesn't magically come to life and then give you the flu. What it does is it produces antibodies in your own body through the dead virus, and so that's why it can't give you the flu.
Well, some people feel kind of sick or achy once they get it.
Sure.
And maybe that's why they think
Any vaccine can do that, make you feel a little achy. So there is also a possibility that people could be exposed to the live influenza virus before they get the shot or even after they get the shot, because it takes a couple weeks for your body to build up its own natural immunity. And so until you build up that immunity, you are still susceptible to influenza.
The common cold
Correct.
is not the flu.
It is not the flu.
There's a big difference.
There is a big difference.
Because people say, I got the flu. You don't have the flu. You have a common cold.
You may have a common cold.
Right.
Absolutely.
But the flu is something much worse.
Much worse. Yeah, a lot, worse symptoms: body aches, stomach aches, high fevers, muscle aches, all of those things. You can become profoundly dehydrated. It makes you susceptible to pneumonias and all of those bad things that come along with it. Common cold is usually congestion in your head. You're feeling a little bit achy, may run a little bit of fever, sore throat kind of stuff, but generally isn't going to knock you out like the influenza is.
Yeah.
Is it too early to get? I mean, when is the earliest you can get one, and when is the latest that you can get one in the season?
So the flu season usually starts around now, so end of September, beginning of October, goes through the winter, ends in the early spring, February, March time frame. And so the earlier you can get it, of course, the better off you are, because then you start your protection earlier. And so our recommendation, of course, is for everybody to get vaccinated that can. So there's some people that are allergic to egg and things like that. But the earlier that we do get vaccinated, the more protective sort of environment that we create, not just for yourself, but also for your family and the community.
We'll get that in a second. Who should get a flu shot this weekend? Or who should get a flu shot in general?
Everybody that can.
Which is what? Which is who?
Which is
Just about everyone.
Right, just about anyone, except for if you're allergic to egg product. People that are pregnant, women that are pregnant, and women that are nursing. Sometimes people recommend that if you're feeling ill, come back another day to get the vaccine. But outside of those parameters, really, anybody should get
okay, let's talk about women who are pregnant, because that's important. Do they have to know they're pregnant? A lot of times they don't know they're pregnant. What happens if, heaven forbid, a woman who is pregnant gets the flu shot?
Well, most likely nothing would happen, right? And so, but you're always concerned about the buildup of antibodies and what its effect is going to be on the fetus. And so to be extra precautious, that's why we recommend it.
Gotcha. Okay. Seniors?
Absolutely. They're a highly susceptible population.
Yeah. What about newborns? 3-year-old, 3-month-old, 4 months old?
6 months and above.
6 months and above.
Right.
Okay. Good. Why is it? It's one of those things, doctor, and you probably see this better than anybody. It's one of those things where if you get the shot, you don't get the flu, but you don't know, right? So if I buy a big screen TV, I see my big screen TV every day. But I'm getting this flu shot, but I don't really know if it works or not because I don't get the flu. Right?
Correct. Yeah. So
it's a weird thing.
Trying to disprove a negative, right? And so,
Only McGraw would try to do that.
No. But I mean, part of the reason for the misinformation is I didn't get a flu shot last year, and I didn't get the flu.
Right. So you were really just lucky, right? So you were balancing your own personal risk.
Yeah.
So public health and health in general, we've done a very good job of protecting the public from infectious disease, and sometimes we're a victim of our own success.
Yes.
So, for instance, we've stamped out, smallpox, so nobody gets smallpox vaccine anymore. But that was because we vaccinated, right?
Right.
And so the same thing goes along with many of the other communicable diseases, whether it's influenza or diphtheria or any of these other things, chickenpox now. So some of these things are things of the past, and so people don't think about them as much because they aren't as common.
Right.
But if you go to third world countries that are more poor, some of these diseases are much more prevalent, and then you recognize the value of vaccines and the protection in the community.
What do you say to the person who says, wait a minute, I got the flu shot, and I did really get the flu? What do you say to those people?
It's still entirely possible for you to still get the flu even if you've been vaccinated. And so it depends on the uptake of the vaccine. Everybody is a little bit different, how much antibodies you build up. And so it is still possible to get influenza even after getting the vaccine. But the point being is that you reduce your risk of getting influenza by getting vaccinated.
Why take that gamble?
And then lastly, so I've been getting the flu shot almost every year I've been in radio. Have my antibodies built up over the last years? So 3 years ago, shot still works for me, or is that long since worked its way through the system?
Probably long since worked its way out, although there is some evidence. So during the 2009 H1N1, some of the populations that we saw that weren't particularly susceptible to the influenza were people that had that strain years ago. And so you do have some memory in your immunology cells, but the thing is the flu strain changes every year.
All right. That is Dr. Alexander Garza, who is with us here, Chief Medical Officer at SSM Health St. Louis. This weekend, SSM is offering free flu vaccines. There are a list of clinics. Cardinal Glennon, SSM St. Mary's, St. Clair Hospital in Fenton, St. Joseph's in Lake St. Louis. You got DePaul Hospital, St. Joseph's in St. Charles. To find out more, you can go to ssmhealth.com, ssmhealth.com. It's this Saturday from 8 until noon. Go out and get your free flu vaccine, right?
Right.
Thank you, doctor.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
7:57, Big 550, KTRS.